All right, so this video is about the difference between content and context. This is an incredibly powerful distinction that when you understand it, reveals something fundamental and foundational about our minds. Now, if you were just to imagine for a moment that you're a newborn child, and instead of being in the seeing what you'd see and feeling what you'd feel and hearing what you'd hear as a child, imagine you're just watching the opening scene to a movie. Okay? And in the opening scene, it shows a landscape view of a big city. And you see all the buildings, you see cars and everything like that. It's a big city, there's hills in the background, whatever it is. And then the next scene is they're in a building. And the next scene is being in the building, and there's a few people in the building. It really doesn't matter. From here, we see the fundamental difference between content and context. And we're also able to see how context is content. So that first scene that we saw with the city there, that, as we were seeing it as the newborn child, was content. There was nothing else. It was just direct empirical experience. So that was originally content. But then we saw the image of the specific building. Now as it's playing, the image of the specific building is the content. But now it's different. It's a different context, because the context is that it's in this big city. Okay, do you see how this works? And then you go into the building, and now the building isn't just the building. It's not the same as if that was the first thing that you were to see. It's different because there's meaning around it. There's images and there's frames that are surrounding this building and that are outside of your direct empirical experience, but that you presuppose and assume are there. And this is the fundamental difference between context and content. So, it is very subtle. Very subtle. Something that is easily overlooked, but of course that's the whole point. Is the whole point. What happens is that our locus of attention moves from different things that we think have value in the moment. This is content. For example, let me show you an example. I have my phone here. I have a water bottle, and I have these pistachios. What is the most valuable thing in terms of content? So you think about it. Maybe you think it's the phone. Well, yeah, if everything was the way you might think it is, and it is, I'm telling you that it is, but I'm just saying, what if it wasn't? What if the context was different? What if I was incredibly thirsty? Then the water would be the most important thing. Or if I was incredibly hungry, then perhaps the pistachios would be more important. But of course, right now, just in terms of all the investment that I have into these items, the phone is the most important. But that's the context. And see, the context changes the content by its very definition. And it's so tricky because the context is so unconscious, deep, buried in your psyche, completely invisible. But you can be aware of it. And so this begs the question. It's like, what is the context? You might think you're wherever you are, and then either there's an outside to wherever you are, or there's somewhere else to wherever you are, and there's surrounding environment to wherever you are, and there's different complicated relationships with the people that you know and that you're talking to and that you have relationships with, and there's all these different situations going on in your life with your health and your relationships and your job and just everything, and your passions and your hobbies and the different things that you want, that you think have value, and all of that. And that's all context. because the content is what is in your direct experience right now. See, this gets very tricky, so tricky, because, and I don't want to make this video long, but this is an important point. This is very important. It's the context. Like right now, I am looking at my computer screen and I can see everything that's in front of me. This is my direct empirical perception. This is very empirical. I can see it, I hear it, I feel it, I touch it, I know that it's there. Okay. But I don't know that there's a wall behind me. Now, I actually do. No, I don't. Because I can see on my computer screen that it looks like there's a wall behind me, but I don't actually know that there is a wall behind me because I can't directly perceive it. It is the context in my mind that shows me that there is a wall there. I assume that there is a wall there, and I'm pretty sure of it. When I imagine this room in my mind, I see a wall behind me. The content shows me the context. And that's a very subtle point. That's a very subtle point, and that's a very tricky point. So then the question, of course, becomes, what is the ultimate context of reality? And that's a tough one to answer. It's a really difficult question. But there's some basic things that are very, very important. One of them is safety. You want a context of safety, of being secure all the time, all the time, all the time. And it's tricky because your mind will mess you up. It'll mess you up. And really what it comes down to, it's a matter of intention. You want to have an intention that is kind to all life. It's very powerful. It's subtle, and it changes the way that you're moving in the world. When you have this intention is very tricky. And your mind will, without your awareness, change your intention. And I don't want to get too off topic, but yeah. That is the difference between content and context.